What's up, guys? How we doing today? Rich, how are you? Welcome to the show. Obviously
So,
Wednesday, Wednesday we kind of got canceled, but here we
yeah,
go.
ir unforeseen circumstances. How's that sound?
Well, I didn't see him coming till last minute, but anyway.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Glad you're good though.
I texted you from the ambulance and said, I don't think we're gonna be able to go tonight.
Yeah, yeah. Well, something like that happens. You just got to it's priorities. So,
My priority was to make sure you knew what was going on.
well, dude, when you've been in the business that I've been in for as long as I've been in the business, you roll with punches, man. I mean, you never you hear people talk about all the time, hey, it's live TV, live radio, that kind of thing. Dude, I promise you, I have had some of the craziest stuff happen. Um, I've done a high school football game that was supposed to start at 7, it started at 11
Jeez.
because of one lightning delay after the next one, after the next one, it was like, holy crap.
Now
My
it's
my yeah,
just
my color guy and I did a 4-hour sports talk show. Then we did 3 hours of football. Our voices were shot by the time we started heading home.
yeah. So that's what happened. I got into a wreck. Well, I didn't get into a wreck. A wreck hit into me on Wednesday, and so we're gonna talk Buckos today. I thought yesterday was gonna be a complete loss, but three battling back Bucks come back and tear it up in the what was it, the ninth, I believe.
Yeah, and I tell you what, man, you got Nola on the hill. You're playing the Phillies, who have been smoking hot. Um, you're kind of going in, going, well, okay, if we can get one out of this series, we'll be okay. I
Oh
was
yeah,
extremely impressed with the way they handled Nola, if nothing else, yesterday.
yeah. I was watching. I was like, oh, 6-1. What's going on? At one point, it's just like, oh, hard to watch. But we're fans, so of course we stayed tuned in.
Sure.
Where they were just chipping, and where walk off win.
I had to do that twice last night.
The O'Neal Cruz
Uh,
hustle in the ninth really provoked this win. I thought that was my little
yeah,
stand up.
and,
I think.
and I tell you what, man, Gonzalez, I'm telling you, I mean, I've been on the Gonzalez wagon, since the beginning, and he comes through again. Um, yeah, I really see really, really positive future things for this guy, and just another piece that the Pirates can build around. And what about Bart? I mean, he's made a major, major contribution to this team since he came over.
I'm waiting for the Joey Bartman shirts.
Yeah, yeah, and you can go either way with those. You got the black and gold with the Bartman logo, or you could do the Bart Simpson end of things with the whole deal. So, for those of you old enough to remember, I'm Bartman.
That's the first thing I thought of whenever he hit that home run the other night before the break.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah,
Bartman. And I was like Simpson.
but I mean, he's one of those guys that didn't meet expectations when he was drafted. I mean, he was what, the number 2 overall pick or something like that for the Giants. Um,
I
didn't
think so.
quite meet expectations, but there's nothing that says you can not meet expectations at the very beginning and still have a very productive career.
Right. Maybe sometimes you need out of that limelight of San Francisco, um, where they get coverage 24/7 because they are the Giants,
Right.
and then you go to a city where you don't need to be the star; you just need to be the player again.
Could that be a Jackson Holiday situation?
I I mean, we hope not because of the name, but it might be because too much expectation on him already because of his name.
Exactly. And I mean, he put up the numbers leading into this to deserve high, a very high expectation. But with all the other guys on that team that are in the same general age group that are just blowing doors off, I mean, with Rushman and Henderson and Westberg and these guys that are, and you got the pitching that's doing it with Grayson Rodriguez and guys like that. Maybe it's just one of those where everybody say, okay, if you're not here, you'll suck. And it's not a matter that he sucks. It's just he's not at that point yet. I'm hearing him in trade rumor. One of the ones I heard was him to Detroit for Tariq Skubal.
So what if the Pirates put together a package deal after Crochet and Benintendi?
They could probably get Benintendi for a song, huh?
I know, but Michael Burns try and get both, right? That way we have a 4-man rotation and be very dangerous.
So run that past me again.
Crochet and Benintendi in a package deal.
Yeah, but Benintendi's our outfielder.
I know. Be another bat.
Oh no. He would take Michael Taylor's spot today. You can't steal first. I mean, unless they create that rule, you can't steal first. I mean, you got Reynolds in left.
Wild, rich him off work. I got time to think.
No, I mean, I guess my question, Benintendi's a corner outfielder. You going to move Reynolds back to center? Or are you going to put Sawinski in center? Or keep Sawinski in center, I guess is the question.
Sawinski can go to the bench.
What's that?
You go to the bench.
Sawinski?
I'm sorry, Rich.
Yeah. No, I mean, you could put Olivares in the outfield, I guess, in right.
Right, but I was trying to figure out what the package where it wouldn't kill everything.
Well, I mean, you could include Sawinski in the package as far as that goes.
But the teams want that?
I think Chicago is doing a complete and utter overhaul. They're going to do what the Astros did a few years ago, what Oakland's been doing, and what Kansas City did a few years ago when they got rid of everybody but Sal Perez. If your name wasn't Sal Perez, you were gone. And they're built around it. The White Sox don't have a guy like Sal Perez with that kind of talent and existence with the team. They don't have that. So the White Sox can just kill everything. That's why they're going to get rid of Crochet. That's why they're going to get rid of Andrew Vaughn. That's why they're going to get rid of Luis Robert. They're going to get rid of, anybody, and they're going to be a AAA team playing in the majors for a year or two. Get all kind of super high picks, have all kind of their minor league system is going to go boop, 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 up the levels. And then hopefully they can build themselves into a contender in, let's say, 3 years. But right now, I think you have 4 guys on their roster right now that could be a piece on other teams. Crochet I'm hearing Crochet to a bunch of different teams. I hear him to the Dodgers. I hear him to the Mets. I've heard him to Kansas City. I've heard him to a few different places. I've even heard him to Cleveland. Luis Robert, I've heard him to every team that's in the playoff hunt, including the Pirates. Andrew Vaughn, I think there's your best fit for Pittsburgh because he's a solid stick, plays a good first base. I realize my boy Tellez has been playing well. I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop on that one. But defensively, Andrew Vaughn is an excellent first baseman. which, let's be honest, Tellez is a little bit of a liability at first. And then, if Benintendi's going to go somewhere, I've also heard Tommy Pham to the Pirates. But the one that I heard that really had me scratching my head was Danny Jansen from Toronto.
We don't
If
need a
you're going to bring, huh?
we don't need a catcher.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. If you're going to bring Danny Jansen in, then you've got to be looking at cutting bait on Grandal and all these other guys, not named Joey Bart.
I bet you it's Henry
It,
Davis.
but Davis should be named Duncan because he's a yo-yo. He's bouncing between the majors and AAA. Maybe he's your right fielder.
He didn't. I don't know. Trade talk around here is under as Davis is on the block
And he could be.
as trade bait.
That may be part of the deal if they're looking at doing a Jansen deal, that Toronto's going to want Henry Davis. Because, Alejandro Kirk is fine, but you've got nothing behind him. If you're looking at Danny Jansen working with Bart, because Jansen's a veteran, he's got 7-8 years under his belt. He's the kind of catcher that could help somebody. He's not a superstar by any stretch, but he could help groom a young guy. And have those two guys as your catchers. I'm down with that. You could even DH one of them because Jansen's got a good stick.
Yeah. Now all of a sudden, obviously the Taylor Ward talk has died down.
It has, and the last that I heard off that thing, the Angels are just wanting, yeah, they're wanting. In essence, they're asking for O'Neal Cruz and Cabrian Hayes. But it's AAA level stuff. They're not going to get that deal done. There
Oh,
are
Rick,
still some, huh?
we did get that Connor Griffin guy I said we were going to get.
Pirates did. I was surprised. I was really surprised they went high school. I really was. And did you notice in the draft though how few high school players went in the first round?
Yeah, there was I was listening to something. I don't know if it was on a podcast or the radio. There was a big topic about that, and they said the jump from college to pros lately has been a lot easier than high school to pros because these kids are getting um, more accustomed to real pitching,
Well,
not just
yes,
fastball.
there's that, but there's also just a maturity factor. When you're 18, 17, 18 years old coming out of high school, and when you're 21, 22 coming out of college, that's a massive maturity difference in your, not only as a person, but in your game. Your body finishes filling out. You kind of have an idea of what your stature is going to be physically. How much weight you can put on, and your fitness level and height and all that kind of stuff. Going from high school to college, bringing in a 22-year-old or a 21-year-old, see Skeens, see Wyatt Langford, see Adley Rushman. When you're looking at guys like that compared to a high school kid who, even when you draft him, he's not smelling the major leagues for at least 3 years. As a later pick, sure. There's 700 rounds in the major league draft. It's not like the NFL where you got, 7 rounds and that's it. You can get those high school kids later. If you're going to put those high picks into something, you want something that, and I think it's almost getting to that point where you want your first round pick in the Major League Baseball draft to be on your 25-man roster within a couple of years.
I was sold on Griffin. I really was, but we'll see. Are they like we talked about last time? Are they going to try and make him a second baseman, or are they going to see if he's that good where they can let Cruz walk?
Well, let me throw this idea out to you. And we sort
That
of
was,
glossed this
let me
over.
finish my thought process real quick. But
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
that was my only thought on why they drafted him.
Okay.
Is they feel they're not going to be able to afford to get Cruz in 2 years.
Okay. And I'm realize that it's the old wrestling thing. If I had the pencil, I would be coming to O'Neal Cruz, Paul Skeens this offseason and saying, guys, look, 7 years, 140 million, both of you guys. 7 years, 140. Get them signed long, like what you did to Ke'Bryan Hayes.
Yeah, but
Ke'Bryan Hayes. Sorry,
Skeens ain't going to be looking at that. He sees that
but
kid
he
and
might.
just signed that 10 for 700, and he's going to be wanting that kind
He's not going to get Otani money for one main reason.
but he might get like 450 somewhere for 10.
Well, here's the one thing I'm noticing about Skeens, and think about this whatever you want. And I realize it's a small sample size. I think there's a loyalty factor with him. And I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if he has that in his mindset that he was the centerpiece of an LSU team that went to a national championship and won it. How cool would it be for him to also be the centerpiece of a Pittsburgh Pirates team that hasn't been to a World Series in 40 years, 45 years, to be able to take them to a World Series, be the centerpiece of a rotation that takes them to a World Series 4 or 5 years from now? I'm not saying next year, 4 or 5 years from now.
And him and Olivia seem to like it here.
Mm-hmm.
They're always writing, the city's so calm, it's not overwhelming.
Right.
I mean, on that aspect, I hope you hit a point. But on the bank account other side of it, I mean, I get we both know how much money do you really need to make it. I mean,
Well, but there's also, and as much as I can't, but as much as I can't stand the guy, there's also the Tom Brady aspect of this. Skeens understands his soon-to-be wife makes some pretty decent scratch on her own, and money is not going to be the big thing. That if I can make a little less money and have a whole lot more success, then let's do it. I mean, Brady did the exact same thing so they could keep Gronk and Rodney Harrison and these offensive linemen and Richard Seymour and guys like that. Okay. He took less money to have the successful team around him. I have this feeling that Skeens is in that mindset that I'll take a little bit less for us to be able to win. So, you're going to have Jared Jones to pay. You're going to have Mitch Keller to pay. And I'll be honest with you, I'd line all three of those guys up in Sherrington's office and put the same offer on the table for all three of them
I guess we
and
get
say
Mitch
7 years, 7 years,
Snow.
140.
Is Keller pitching tonight? Is that what I saw? They really
I
weren't
think you're
sure
right.
yesterday. They really weren't sure
I
yesterday. Podcast. They said it could be Skeens or Keller.
and I haven't looked at my DraftKings yet for today to see who's starting. No, it's Luis Ortiz.
He's kind of come out of a shell too. He's
He
been
to
decent
me
for what
seems
they've
like
asked him to do.
uh,
He's been
say
decent
again.
for what
Yeah.
he's been decent for what they've asked him to do. I mean, he's gone what over 4 innings the last three starts.
Mm-hmm.
Seems to be pitching 5, 6 strikeouts a game. You can't ask much more from that from a reliever.
No, I
But
don't have any issue with what he's been
I
doing.
also
I mean,
why we need.
his lap. Say again.
I also don't see why we need to throw a reliever out there when all these guys have been on a week break.
Well, but I think they're trying to groom him into a starter. because if you look at his last 5 starts, 5 2/3, 6, 2. That was the game against St. Louis whenever he just didn't have it.
That was
6
the 11
against Cincinnati,
and two
and
innings
then
or
4. Yeah. So I think they may be trying to groom him to be that 4 or 5, which I don't have an issue with. I think he could be a solid 4 or 5.
I think he's better than Perez.
Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
sorry. I just feel Perez's wheels are they move him to relief where he can only go an inning. Let him. He's at that point of his career where he's got to start thinking like that to be able to continue.
sure, the Rangers did that last year. That they moved him to the bullpen for he was long relief. He pitched like, if you needed him to go 3 innings, like 5, 6, 7, you could do that. Or go 6, 7, 8, he could do that. Or he could go an inning or two. But I think that what Shelton is trying to do at this point is to be able to go Skeens, Keller, Jones, Falter, Ortiz is what I think he's trying to put together, which ain't a bad rotation. I mean, Falter has done well this year. I don't have any complaints about what Falter's done.
No, no. Falter's been very good. Through my eyes, anyway. Um, yeah.
Especially
What
when
did
you
you
look at
think?
the disaster. Especially when you look at the disaster he was in Philly.
Like you keep Perez then as like a spot starter? That seems like a waste of money, but that's just me.
For the rest of the year, you mean?
Yeah.
I keep him as a spot starter, middle relief. Like I say, if these guys are going 5 innings and you need Perez to go 6, 7, okay, I 2 innings out of Perez you can get. 5, I don't think you're going to be able to. But if you needed him to do a spot start, yes. But normal circumstances, throw him out there to be long relief, and that's fine. He did that for the Rangers last year, and he did fine in long relief. He accepted the role,
That was
and he pitched well, huh?
last year was one of the first years he was above 500.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's definitely rounded third, headed toward home for his retirement. I mean, he's 33, and he's
That's
had a good solid career. Um, but he's definitely, I mean, this year 1-5 with a 5.6 ERA. That's definitely not a good thing. But I mean, when you look at his career, he's 86 and 86. Um, he was 10-4 in 23, 12-8 in 22. So, the 2 years before he came to the Pirates, he was solid. He was never an ace, and that tells you where the problem was with the Rangers 3 or 4 years ago. He was their ace. He was never an ace. Even in his prime, he was never an ace. So,
um,
you know,
I'm
huh?
sorry, Rich. When does MMA start?
Oh, you're good.
Anyone know what time MMA starts? 6:40.
MMA? I was gonna say, I think it's like 6, isn't it?
6:40. Just checking. I forgot. Like I'm not I'm not at work obviously. I don't have a car, so my days are well thrown off.
And I'll be perfectly honest, I'm not the biggest MMA guy.
Really, you're not
Um,
gonna throw a dollar on it tonight?
Say again?
Not gonna throw a dollar on it tonight?
I might, but I just don't. For whatever reason, I've just never gotten into MMA.
I miss the
Not
old
quite
days.
sure why.
I miss the old days, the Chuck Liddells and all those guys.
Yeah, I mean, I did watch it then.
That
I
was
would watch Cormier and those guys.
St. Pierre.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But now it's a lot different with DraftKings, FanDuel, able to bet on it and everything else. It's a lot different. back whenever Liddell and them were wrestling, if you were betting, it was all off the table. Like the Vegas wasn't betting it then. Not that I can remember.
I
They
don't
might have,
know.
but I mean, from what I remember, I don't remember seeing like lines on.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing much in terms of MMA on the sports books back then. Um, but you had bigger. I mean, you probably had what 8 or 10 guys that a large percentage of people would know. If you mentioned Rampage Jackson or Tito Ortiz or Chuck Liddell or guys like that, Randy Couture, a lot of people knew who those guys were. 90% of these guys now, it's like boxing. 95% of these guys now, they could walk up to you in the middle of the street and say hi to you and shake hands, and you wouldn't know who the hell they are. You know.
No, I wouldn't. I might like recognize them as they're like walking away, be like, "Wait, where have I heard that voice? Where have I?" And by that time, it's like, do I run up and say, "Oh, nah, whatever"?
Yeah. But you knew what Tito Ortiz looked like. You knew what Randy Couture or Chuck Liddell or somebody like you knew what those guys looked like, and you kind of had a general idea of who they were. And those were the guys that were headlining, John Jones and guys like that. Now it's just kind of like,
It's on
yeah, okay,
every week. It's on every week. You
yeah,
don't know which one is the big one anymore. They do it once a month. Obviously now with them joining the net with the WWE, it's kind of, we'll see how that all plays out.
yeah. But they're really doing their best to keep those two separate.
They are. They are. They're doing a
Um,
great job. They're kind of like, I like how they're keeping the pay per views away from each other's big events.
right.
Like I'm sure we're not going to have any MMA on what is that, August 3rd, August 6th, whatever day SummerSlam is.
Yeah, August 3rd, my birthday. SummerSlam's my birthday this year. Um, but yeah, it's they've done a good job with that. They haven't really done much in terms of this fighter showing up at Raw or this wrestler showing up at this UFC event, except for the ones you saw before. You always saw Undertaker at UFC events. You always saw Brock Lesnar at UFC event. That's nothing new.
No, he was,
And
he was
you
a competitor in both.
Well, but even when he was wrestling, he was still going to UFC shows. You see the guys there that were going previously, but it's not one of those cases where, oh, well, WWE champion Damian Priest is here at UFC, 321 or whatever it is. No, you're not seeing that. Or you're not seeing, this UFC guy at SmackDown or something like that. It's just not it's not going that way, which is good. I think it's a good thing because they're trying to keep them two separate entities.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I did watch SmackDown last night because it was on.
SmackDown wasn't bad. I mean, it was okay. They're kind of going this way right now.
I
Um,
can't stand this bloodline.
huh?
I can't stand this new bloodline.
Well, the new bloodline reminds me of the Red NWO, and I still personally think what's going to end up happening. This is just me, and people think I've lost my mind when I say this, but Heyman just got the absolute god awful crap kicked out of him about 3-4 weeks ago, right?
I saw that.
Well, okay. You've got this new bloodline that's rolling through. Okay, great. That's fine. Heyman comes back, and this could happen even at SummerSlam. Heyman comes walking out. Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, CM Punk.
Where the whole Shield and Randy Orton, and all of a sudden all six joined Heyman.
Yeah, you put Kevin Owens out there. You got Randy Orton. Orton, excuse me, Orton. I think before long, what I think they're going to try and do is pull Cody out of this bloodline thing and have a Cody Randy Orton type thing because Randy Orton is getting close to calling it quits. Wouldn't be surprised if WrestleMania ends up being like his last deal. Although with the whole Cena thing, I don't know. With him announcing his retirement, but I think you're going to see Cody and Orton. So if you have KO, CM Punk, Lesnar, Reigns as Heyman guys going against this bloodline, I think you might have something.
I'm sure it's all being worked out. Triple H is he's a good thinker. He's very creative in all this. I would still love to see a playbook where they walk in and say beat the shit out of each other. Here's the scripts. If you win, here's the script. If you win, I would love to see it, Rich. Just once. Just once. Just once.
Okay, one thing you got to understand: there is no script. Doesn't happen.
Okay, well
You know
there's
what
about a
you know the
direction.
finish,
How
huh?
about a direction where they just shock the fans, Rich? I mean, where they just say it could go either way, and this is what's happening, and here's what's. I think that'd be fun. I think that would really draw a lot of attention. Like someone really has to win this match.
Well, yeah, and there are cases where those guys don't know who's winning until they get out there. Most of the time they know the finish, and that's pretty much it. It's like, okay, uh, you know, Adam's gonna beat Rich, and you've got 9 minutes. Go. Call it in the ring.
I get it. I get it.
And
I'm just
and
saying.
that's what you do.
I would like to see just for entertainment purposes. Let them really go at it.
Sure. And that does happen. You don't have enough guys now that really know how to do it to be able to let them go. Randy Orton, yes. Cody Rhodes, sure. Owens, probably. Punk, yeah. Um, there's a lot of guys that could, but most of them can't because they're too concerned about all the flippy entertainment end of it instead of the wrestling end of it. But yeah, I mean, could it happen? Sure. It used to happen semi regularly 20 years ago when you had the whole Angle, Guerrero, Benoit, Mysterio, Malenko, all those guys in there. Those guys can legitimately go. And there were times, Kurt Angle has said this. There were times, go out there, somebody win. They
Okay.
didn't even have a finish. Huh?
I'm gonna. All right, that's enough wrestling for now. We do have John, so we can talk John on
That's
Tuesday on open mic. We might have a special guest again on Tuesday. We'll see. I'm working on it. See, I got time to
nice.
talk to people now. I don't know if they like that.
Well, I told you before. I mean, the good part about what I think is good about the wrestling background that I've got is it's a lot of everything. So I can go from Portland to Florida to Mid South to Mid Atlantic to world class. I mean, I grew up with world class, grew up with those guys, and at the Sportatorium in the world and Will Rogers Coliseum every week. Grew up WWE, grew up all that stuff. So I can work the whole shooting match,
Right.
but
And
it's fun and you can get into it. And it's funny to watch sometimes how baseball or football or basketball incorporates wrestling into it.
we might have another wrestling addition to the channel coming up soon. So we'll keep our eye on
Oh,
that.
okay.
And I think you'll like that one too, Rich. It's gonna,
Like,
we're expanding our horizons a little bit here at Dropping to the Top.
that'd be
Um,
fun.
but anyway, Rich, should we talk about little Mike, little Grizzly signing the Penguins?
You can,
Or
sure.
Aren't you ready for that? Had a bad season last year. I like this kid. I always pick him in fantasy. So it was someone I watched when I seen he got signed here. I was like, "Ooh, all right. Well, maybe this will be his, that given chance defensive player. So see what happens.
Yeah.
I
Well,
like
I mean,
the. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say I think the Penguins are just trying to find something again. Does that make any sense?
Right.
You know, because we all know Crosby and Malkin are not far from the end. Um, and now you've got to go, okay, are we going to go through that little period between when you had Lemieux and Yager and those guys, and then you had Crosby and Malkin and those? And there wasn't a whole lot going on in between those two eras. Are we now going to enter another one of those eras where there's not a whole heck of a lot going on because there's not a true superstar on this team?
What was that like the 4 year? Like what are the Penguins doing era?
Yeah,
But
and I think that's where we're headed.
you know, I did like watching Martin Straka.
Yeah.
He was probably one of my favorites. I have no idea why. He just was. Um, even brought in Marty McShirley for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean Straka, I loved. I was a Ronnie Francis guy back in the day. Kevin Stevens. Um, you know, the Pens had some underneath guys that were big parts of the team, kind of like what Letang has been for a long time. Um, but you don't necessarily want those guys to be the leader of your team. And I'm sitting here looking at the roster right now, and you look at this Penguins roster, and if you take Letang and Crosby and Malkin off this roster, who's the big name on this team? Brian Rust?
I have no idea. Oh my gosh, what would you do? Where would we go?
To the number one pick? I mean, I look at this team and go, this team has the number one pick written all over it in 2 years. Crosby's 36, Malkin's 30. This is the AARP of the NHL right now.
They didn't bring back cool. They didn't bring back Jesse either, huh? Pulverari.
Mm-mm. I mean, you look at the ages of these guys, 32, 39, 36, 35, 37. I mean, yes, you got a couple of 22, 27, you got 27, 28, 31, 26, 32, 28, 31, 32, 30, 34, 37,
Right.
28. Even Jari's 29. I mean, there's not a whole lot of young, fresh, fiery talent on this team. And you're going to have a hard time finding any bigger Penguins fan than my mom. But she's even agreed with me when I told her, I said, you better enjoy the success they had the last few years because we're getting close to where they're not going to have that for a while.
Yeah. Okay. I have not looked this depth. Wow.
Well, and I'm looking.
It's hard to get past. You see Malkin and Crosby, and you're like, oh, we got a good team. Then you look at the rest of the team, and you're like,
And the funny part is, you know who the number one free agent on the market right now is?
I have not a clue.
Getzel.
He's already signed. He went to Tampa.
No, I'm saying when the free agent market opened,
He wasn't coming back, Rich.
when free agency opened at the end of last season, he signed with the Lightning, 7 years, $9 million a year.
Yeah, he wasn't coming back.
I get he wasn't coming back to Pittsburgh, but I'm just saying the guy you let go was the number one free agent in the league when free agency opened up.
I mean, he was a top.
So
He was the
that's
top one. He was that rental player, Rich. We got.
right, but
I feel we got 4 good prospects and bunting in this. I might be the only
sure,
weird
but
one, but I feel the Penguins did the best they could with a player they knew wasn't coming back.
no, I agree with you.
Got that kid
I
out of
agree.
Wisconsin
I think you're
now.
right.
They got the kid out of Wisconsin who, if he plays like he did last year, he could be ready to play right at the top level as soon as he gets done with school next
Yeah.
year. I mean, he really turned it on. He was like, maybe this is a good move. He finished with what, 15 more goals than he did the year before.
Right.
I can't think of his name to save the life of me, but I know he goes to Wisconsin.
Yeah. I'm kind of in the same boat on that one, but I do agree with you. I mean, when you look at what this team is going to be for the next, I'd say at least 2 or 3 years after this season, you got to have these younger guys show something, and because you're going to lose a lot of guys to age. I mean, I don't know how long Crosby plans on playing or anything, but it can't be
I think he can go
can't be
till he's.
too awful much longer.
I think he can go for another 4.
You think?
I think he could with the way with his training. With his training, I mean, even if Crosby's a B, falls down to a B, he's still gonna be better than the rest of our shit.
I mean, yeah, but if he's Yager and plays till he's 48, he's definitely not going to be an impact player. Let's put it that way. I don't think anyway. I don't know. I'm curious. Him and Malkin both. I mean, I don't know. There's what, 2 years between the two of them? 1 year. Yeah, 1 year. Malkin's a year older than Crosby.
Right. That's what I was.
Right at a year, in fact. Malkin's birthday is the 31st of July, and Crosby's is August the 7th.
I mean, how
You
much?
know that's why he wears it. You know that's why he wears 87, right?
Why? His birthday.
His birthday, 8/7.
He's wanted a long time.
I got an even
Uh,
better one for you. You know what? You know why Yager wore 68?
his birthday June 8th.
Say again.
For his birthday.
No, when he was playing for the Czech Republic or Czechoslovakia at that time, his number was 14.
Okay.
So 14 wasn't available with Pittsburgh. So they asked him, and of course his English was horrible. So they asked him and said, "Do you have any other numbers that would be interesting to you?" And he said, "Yeah, 6 and 8." And they gave him 68
but he really meant 6 and 8,
instead of 6 or 8. He said 6 and 8, and they gave him 68.
and that number everyone knows it now.
The greatest 68 in the history of sports, maybe.
Ooh, that could be a topic for another day. I would say so. I mean, whenever I hear 68, I don't think of offensive linemen. Yager. Oh, right on.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. MLB, we go in some weird directions, man.
We're all over the place. Did you see the cover for the
Right.
YouTube today? It was the building of Three River Stadium.
Yeah.
It was
Let's see. Major League Baseball 68. Oh my. The next one of these that I have ever heard of will be the first. JP France,
Seattle.
Houston. Do. Wow, this is bad. George Kirby in Seattle. Um, Jeff McNeil, his rookie year with the Mets, wore 68. Jordan Romano for Toronto.
I don't recall that
Our buddy Rowdy Tellez in Toronto wore 68. So yeah, that's still nobody ahead of Yager. Let's see what
one.
football's got. Well, football. I mean, football. We do have an argument on this.
You're gonna get a shit.
You know,
You're gonna get a shit
huh?
ton. You're gonna get a shit ton in football.
Yeah, but wait a minute. There's one that everybody knows. Everybody in Pittsburgh knows. It should be in the Hall of Fame.
The backwards number of 68, 86.
I wore gold shoes in my first 3 years of school football. LC Greenwood.
Yeah, he should be definitely. That's the other question, Rich. If we're gonna talk Hall of Fame, like how many can they let in from one team?
As many as deserve it.
Right, right. But that's not the way the rest of the world sees it. We see it as the whole team should be in it.
Well, I don't think the whole team should be in, but I
Most of them.
think that I also think Too Tall Jones should be in, by the way.
Yeah, and that's a Cowboy.
I think Harvey Martin, should be in. The Cowboys from the 70s have a couple of guys that should be in that aren't, and they've got a couple of guys that are in that shouldn't be. So, I don't understand. Cliff Harris, I kind of get, I guess, maybe, possibly. I don't know. I mean, Drew Pearson, the whole thing down here, and people were absolutely losing their minds that Drew Pearson didn't get drafted in, to get put in the Hall of Fame till last year. My whole argument was, and I will stand by it, if Lynn Swan's in, Drew Pearson had to be in. You look at the numbers, you look at everything else, they're the same guy, just in different uniforms. And Lynn made a lot more flashy catches. So, if Swan's in, and at that point, Drew Pearson was the only person from the team of the 70s to not be in the Hall of Fame. So, when you look at the 70s Steelers, I'm just trying to think of who outside of Greenwood, who should be in that's not in. I would love to see Rocky Blyer in there. Rocky's my guy. One of these days, I'll put it behind me. My wife got me a Rocky Blyer jersey autograph that I have the picture of him signing it underneath it. I've got his book. I've gotten a chance to meet him. We have a tie with my dad with the service and all that kind of deal when they were in Vietnam. Um, I would love to see Rocky go. He doesn't deserve to go into the Hall of Fame. Ring of Honor? Absolutely. NFL Hall of Fame? I love you, Rock. I do. I can't put you in the Hall of Fame. What do you think?
I don't. I was born the year they won. They were born a week before they won the '79 Super Bowl, so I did not know much about that then.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, the guys on the offense that should be in are in. Bradshaw, Harris, Swan, Stallworth, Webster. Um, those guys should be in. Defense, Joe Green in. I don't think Dwight White should be in. I do think LC should be in there. There's no question LC should be in there. Um, Ham, Lambert, yeah, they're both in. Blunt, of course. Donnie Shell,
He's in. I was there when he got inducted.
he's he's in. I'm not. Ah, okay, you know.
I was
Um,
there. He went in with Palomalo and Cowher.
he did. He did. I love me some Donnie Shell. I do. I'm not quite sure he's Hall of Fame, but you could argue that one either way. Um, so I think outside of Greenwood, and of course Chuck Knowlton, outside of LC Greenwood, I think the 70s Steelers that should be in are in. I don't think there's any real question there. Um, now you get into the more current Steelers, even the 90s Steelers, the Greg Lloyds and the, guys like that.
The era's
I don't
changed.
know.
The
Huh?
era changed. The era's changed. How the game was
Mhm.
played changed from the 70s to the 80s to the 90s now to today. It's hard
Right.
to say like a full Hall of Famer anymore. It's not the same.
Yeah,
I mean,
I mean, but I just sit here and look at the Steelers from the 90s. And yes, they were extremely successful.
Yancey Thigpen, Charles Johnson, Eric Green, Aaron Green,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Yeah, no. I mean, none of those.
Jeff Harding,
That's why. Hmm?
Jeff Harding's,
Dermontti Dawson,
Al
yeah,
Manek.
he's in. Bettis, and he's in. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
those weren't 90s. Well, I guess they were. They were late 90s.
was that?
Bettis, but he came here in 2000.
Yeah, there it is. That's what I was looking for. Gary Anderson, of course. Yeah, he's in. Um, but I mean, good grief. I'm looking at the roster, the 90s roster for the Steelers.
Okay.
Gary Anderson, Bubby Brister, Dermontti Dawson, we talked about, Thomas Everett, Eric Green, Merrill Hodge, Carnell Lake, Louis Lips, Hardy Nickerson, Justin Strelzik, Rod Woodson, of course. Outside of three, you find any Hall of Famers in that list?
No.
Anderson, Woodson, and Dawson. I mean, that's the Hall of Fame right there. Um, the 2000s, that's a little different discussion. Because now, of course, you're starting to get into um,
2 Super Bowls.
yeah, but you're also getting into guys like Bettis, Hines Ward. Hines Ward should be in. I'll die on that hill. That's my Hall of Fame hill. I'll die on right there.
Do you think?
Um,
Do you think they're waiting to just bring Hines in with Ben?
that's a good question. Maybe.
I've thought about this. Just like they're gonna be able to now bring Gronk and Brady in together as well.
Yeah.
I think the Hall of Fame's got to start looking at it too. Like, do we really want a million Patriots fans mixed with Steeler fans? Regardless of the celebration, they're all assholes.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, even if you look at the 2000 Steelers, I don't see that many Hall of Famers on this list either. You got Bettis, of course. Um, you've got and Dermontti Dawson carries over. Faneca, yeah, of course. He should get in simply on his name, Chris Fuamatu Ma'afala. He should go into the Hall of Fame of names.
Could you imagine that walking on across the black?
Oh yeah, I had a T-shirt that said "One Bad Ma'afala."
I mean,
Um,
can't do anything, but it'd be neat to see that name in there.
yeah, but you look at the rest of this team and you kind of go,
Who's who?
okay. And Hines Ward. I mean, there wasn't it wasn't that loaded. I mean, yes, they had players like Levon Kirkland and Joey Porter, and I think Aaron Smith was fantastic. Love me some Aaron Smith, but you know, really good player, nowhere close.
Um, just like Willie Parker too.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've got more,
I think they should.
arguably more.
Go ahead.
Is that no? Go ahead.
I was gonna say I think they should let Sterling Sharp in, but that's just me. That career got cut way too short because of that injury.
Sterling Sharp.
Shannon's brother, yeah. That
Um,
cost him
Possibly.
fame dance.
Let's see. There's just not that Hall of Fame list. 2010s are the ones that's got the Hall of Famers in it. I mean, you got Marquise Pouncey, who should, that's not even a question. Um, you got Ben, of course. Cam Hayward's a Hall of Famer.
He better be. Make the trip to
Yeah.
camp.
Um, Realizing, folks, that he came in at the end of the 2010s, but TJ Watt is going to be a Hall of Famer when it's all said and done. Uh, Polomalu. Um,
He's already there.
you've got, yeah. I mean, you've got 4 or 5 guys from the 2010s teams that are Hall of Fame worthy. Um, so it's
It's
tough now. I just don't see.
what the Burkett hit. Would Antonio Brown be a Hall of Famer?
Run that again.
After the Burkett hit, we know he went downhill, but would Antonio Brown be a Hall of Famer? Leading receptions, yards on the Steelers.
If Antonio Brown doesn't turn completely into an absolute lunatic, yeah, he was putting Hall of Fame numbers up. He was more than putting Hall of Fame numbers up. Yeah, if he doesn't go 100% Looney Tunes, Antonio Brown's a Hall of Famer. And I got
Rich,
another one.
hold on. So this comment just came across from Raleigh Chris.
I saw that.
Chris, we don't think that deal's going to happen because they're asking for an arm and a leg, and Pirates are not giving up an arm and a leg for this deal.
Yeah, that's I don't see that. There's a lot of moves that I see being made, and that's just not one of them.
No, with all the heavy talk,
ML,
I thought it would have got done.
yeah. See, I still am very interested to see what's going to happen with Vlad Jr.
And whenever you were talking about Jansen, I was like, oh, are the Pirates going to get a package deal with him and Guerrero?
They could,
And that's what
they
I
could,
had to ask you about that earlier, but it slipped my mind.
yeah. I mean, that's this one just absolutely makes me scratch my head that they're saying the MLB.com just put a story out yesterday. I was looking at it again that the Rangers should be sellers. On
Why?
what planet should the Rangers be sellers? we should be dumping a few guys? Yes, but we should be bringing somebody in return for that too. But the Pirates, they're saying, need to get some bats. Taylor Ward, that would be a bat. Danny Jansen would be a bat. Um, Vlad, of course, would be a big bat. But yeah, it's just one of those. I sit here and I look at it and I go, okay, you don't want to mortgage the farm because, and follow me on this one.
Okay.
Are they a World Series team this year? Even if they make a couple of moves, no.
Couple moves.
Is there a young?
The right moves could put us there.
No.
But we both know the right moves we're not going to get.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, yeah, if they bring in Aaron Judge and Corey Seager, sure. Yeah, they got a shot to make it.
I wish I didn't go that far. Jeez.
I don't think that they're. I don't think that.
Aaron Judge still hasn't made the World Series.
Say again?
Aaron Judge still hasn't made the World Series.
I was being facetious when I said that. But
you were living in that MLB the Show. I'm going to make this great trade, and I'm going to get Corey Seager, and and then I'm going to have to ask.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna bring.
If he wants to play second base because we have O'Neal Cruz.
Oh no! No. And that goes back to something we were talking about earlier. No. O'Neal Cruz becomes Robin Yount. O'Neal Cruz becomes my center fielder.
Really? Does he have knowledge in center field?
You can teach him to play center field.
Right, but how much of a curve is that going to be?
You got a guy on the roster that can teach him how to play center field. That guy that wears 22 plays a pretty damn good center field.
He does. He's on that page of Crosby and Malkin.
I understand this, but the principles of playing center field, he knows as well or better than anybody else. If you're going to have somebody teach how to play center field, find me somebody better to teach you to play center field than Andrew McCutchen. I mean, let's think about that for a minute. If you had the opportunity to learn how to play center field from Andrew McCutchen, there's a whole lot worse guys you could learn it from. I see knowing Artie since he loves me.
Raleigh Chris saying Guerrero's going to LA.
Artie Moreno.
Is one guy gonna enough to bring the fans back to the Angels?
I'll tell you what, man. I saw Wash take a team of Rangers to the World Series 2 years in a row. That they had a couple of studs on that team, but outside of those couple of studs, they were a bunch of guys. I mean, yes, you had Josh Hamilton in his prime, and yes, you had Pudge Rodriguez. Well, that was right after Pudge. Actually, he had already gone away. And you had Vlad Guerrero on one of those teams. Actually, he was on the 2011 team, if I remember right. How much of a? I just don't know that. What do you do with Shanuel that's playing first base for them now if they bring in Junior? You make him full-time DH?
That's why they're putting him at third, Rich. But Rendon just came back for them.
Oh, but Rendon's even said publicly he don't care.
I was just
Baseball is a paycheck, huh?
That's all it is, right? I was going to say because Rendon was in that lineup last night.
Right, but Rendon has said publicly it's a paycheck. He has no loyalty or He's not going to lose sleep at night, win or lose. Okay. I mean, people laugh about Javi Baez and that horrible contract he signed in Detroit. Let's talk about the horrible contract Anthony Rendon signed in Los Angeles. He tore up the league in Washington for a couple of years, and then he got to Los Angeles, and I'm still waiting for him to do something there. And the one that I feel the worst about is Mike Trout. That poor dude, you talk about loyalty, but that poor dude can't get out of his own way. I mean, he gets hurt, but when he's not hurt, his team just cannot get him into the postseason. If we win today and tomorrow,
See, this is loyalty here, Rich. This is loyalty.
Chris, if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. You got to leapfrog two teams in your own division to get there. No. Angels are not getting in this year. Next year, possibly. This year, no. Promise, not happening. I appreciate your loyalty because as a diehard Pirates fan, I get it, but I don't. And how bad would it suck if they made the playoffs and Trout can't play in the playoffs? Put that one up there for you. How bad would that suck?
Everyone be like, "Who's this guy?"
You want to
I
know?
mean, that would at least make it an interesting name for the game. But he just gets hurt all the time too,
Yeah.
and maybe he gets hurt because the team.
Can I throw a name out there off that Angels roster though that would be intriguing for the Pirates? What about Luis Rengifo? Yeah, he's right.
Oh, he's right. I know. I know.
No, he is right. Anything can happen. I mean, we've seen it happen a number of times. Uh, Teams have blown big leads and that kind of deal. It's just there's a lot of people to jump over to get to wild card spot for the Angels.
We still have about what 65, 64 to 70 games left for some teams.
Yeah, most teams right now are in that 98 to 97 to 99 games window. So yeah, about 60, 65 for everybody.
All right, Rich.
You
So
know,
we talked about this before. The
yeah.
over under on Skeen's strikeout was for the rest of the season to finish at 166 and a half. And I saw that as the over under.
The over under is 166 and a half.
That's what I saw. And if Skeen's he has about 13 starts left.
Mm-hmm.
Could I mean he could finish around 194 if they let him start all 13.
Okay, he's at 89 right now.
Right.
So to get to 166, he needs 70, let's just say, for round numbers. If he's got 13 starts left, he's going to get more than 5 a start. You would think.
We're at, I saw the over under at 166, but the projected total was right around 194.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, I think he scares 200. Because at 89, if he averages 8 per start the rest of the way, 8 per start the rest of the way is 104 plus 89. That puts him at 193. And he's going to have a game or two where he's going to just go absolutely bananas. and strike out 11 or 12.
Well, we hope.
Well, no, I mean, a guy with that kind of talent, he's going to have a game or two where he's going to strike out God and everybody. You can walk up over the boat oar and you're not going to hit it. So I would go over 166 all day long. I mean, I'd go over 176 for that matter. Yeah, if I was in Vegas, I'd be putting some money on that one. Huh?
I'm over
Yeah, I'd bet the over all day.
for sure.
Mariners 6 times, Rangers 7 times, and Houston 7. Okay. So that's what? 20 losses? Okay, I got you. I'm kidding.
Uh,
Let's say you go 10-10 in those games. I think that's reasonable.
um,
You're not going 5-2 or 6-1 against Texas, and you're not going 5-2 or 6-1 against Seattle. And I'll still stand by the fact I said this at the beginning of the season, and I said it. I will say it again. Seattle's the best team in that division. People look at me like I got a third eyeball. Seattle's the best team in that division. Look at their pitching staff. Look at their hitting. Look at their fielding. Look at their bullpen. Kirby, Wu, Gilbert. Their rotation is strong. The bullpen is really good. Their defense, if I remember correctly, is top 5 in the league. Seattle's the best team in that division. I called it at the beginning of the year. I picked them to win the division, and hadn't changed. I had a couple of division winners I picked the first of the year that I kind of went out on a limb a little bit. Yeah, no, it happens. Oakland also took 2 out of 3 from Philadelphia. And the White Sox took 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers. So it's going to be fun. That's the best part about this. We've got 60 games left, and we've got a whole bunch of teams that we're still talking about being in the hunt. Not necessarily right there, but in the hunt. We haven't been able to say that a lot until the last couple of years. When you sit there and you really look at who's in, who's out kind of a thing, I think that we can legitimately say with no question, Oakland, the White Sox, the Rockies, and the Marlins are out. Think you can say that?
I do.
Okay. So you've got 4 teams out of 30. 60 games left in the season. I mean, that's a lot of fans that still have interest of what's going on. Is it going to make the trade deadline probably a little wishy-washy? Yes. But on the flip side of that, you have a whole lot of teams that are looking to their fans, and those home games are going to mean a lot the whole rest of the way. And these division games, the last part of the season, the last month of the season, everything are going to mean everything in the standings because they really mean 2 games. That kind of stuff. So your hand's
Sorry, Rick.
starting to get you.
Stretch out this arm a little bit.
No, that's good, man. We can cool it whenever you want to cool it, man. We made it an hour 15 already.
Right. Yeah, that punch through glass doesn't always feel good, even though I don't recall it. Don't recall it at all. I blacked out after that thing hit me. Everyone thought my head went through the windshield. No, like had to be from the impact of the airbag just throwing me forward, like hit my arm. It hit my arm like right there, and then it just.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I didn't break my arm actually.
Very lucky. You're very lucky, period, man.
Yeah, you saw the pictures.
I did.
It was ugly.
That just means you got more stuff to do, man.
Yeah, now that anyway, waiting here, waiting on people is not fun.
True. I am the world's worst at hurry up and wait.
Nothing I can do. They're closed.
But the big thing is
I'm just gonna come out
you're
with
good.
content.
Just what?
I'm just gonna come out with content.
Well, yeah, I mean, the big thing is, like I say, I mean, cars, like I told you this the day it happened. Cars can be replaced, but you can't.
Right,
You can't replace a person in that. So, yes, it's an inconvenience in a big way, but at least you're here,
right.
you know. Oh, happy birthday, man.
Yeah, birthday
Actually,
trip.
your birthday is my grandson's birthday. This coming Friday. Jackson, that many of y'all have seen on the broadcast a couple of times. He
He's gonna.
turns 3 on Friday.
He's not over the house this weekend, right?
He was over last night, actually. Um, so mom and Gigi are going to get Aunt Lindsay in Arizona before she gets deployed to Italy. So she's going to come in for Jackson's birthday party, and then on the 30th, no, 29th or 30th, she flies out from Tucson to Italy for her next deployment for a couple of years. She's in the Air Force.
So they give him like 2 weeks off before they got to leave, or what?
Well, they're only giving her like 5 days. She's coming back in Tuesday night um, because she had to finish off another test that apparently you have this test that you have to pass within a certain number of days of you leaving. She's already passed the test once, but she has to take it again because it has to fall within this day window of days before she leaves. So, yeah, so she's got to get that taken care of, and then she can fly out Tuesday night. Um, Mary and my daughter are going to go get her Wednesday night or Tuesday night, and then she'll be here Wednesday until Sunday, and then she's got to leave Sunday to go back to Tucson and head out to Italy.
Well, at least you get to see her for a couple days.
Yeah, yeah, we'll get to see her for a few days. It'll be
Maybe
good. She gets to see her grandmother and all that. Both grandmothers, my mom and Mary's mom, and that kind of stuff. So it'll be good.
you ever go overseas to visit?
Say again.
You ever go overseas to visit?
I won't, and I haven't, just simply for mobility purposes. Now my wife, oh hell yes, she's already told me. You do understand I'm going over to visit to see her. I understand that, honey. I do. And
Yeah,
that's going to be one of those.
how's your leg?
So what?
How's your leg? You
Oh,
still in a
leg is okay. It's doing good.
the,
It's
the
almost it's
cast?
almost healed up actually.
The cast is off then.
No, probably this Wednesday it'll come off. They've been changing it every week, but the deal keeps getting smaller. So the way it's going, this Wednesday when I go in, it should be good. And we do the show Wednesday night. I may be doing it without cast, so that'd be pretty cool.
That's good. Well, guys,
Yeah,
I think we're gonna wrap it up. Hour and 20 minutes. Unexpected Saturday matinee show. We'll call it, I guess. Rich.
there you go.
Um, the Yankees are getting destroyed, so I'm sure Jamie's loving it. I had I had Cortez on the hill, so I just looked. He's worth minus 13 points or something.
Woo.
Yeah,
You talk about a hot and cold team, man. That is the Kohler faucet of the Major League Baseball right now.
they're playing Tampa Bay, and they destroyed them last night. So I was like, oh, 2 games in a row. Cortez on the hill. No, not the case. Not the case. So,
Yeah, but didn't they go like 8-15 over a stretch in June
and then
or
they
early
lost.
July? Huh?
Then they fell apart.
Fell completely apart. I mean, they were like they had the best record in baseball by like 7 or 8 games, and then they couldn't have beat me, you, and 7 other guys for about 3-4 weeks. It's
Just weird
crazy.
how just weird how it all happens.
It really is. I actually just flipped the game flip the game on. Taj Bradley is looking like freaking Cy Young right now.
I don't want to hear that. I didn't start him today.
Oh. I
I
mean,
went the other end, Rich. Started, like I said, I saw them win last night, so I was like, all right, Yankees are starting to get hot.
that's okay. My showdown on DraftKings, I started both pitchers.
Oh,
Thank you very much. I was figuring this was going to be like a 2-1, 3-1 game, and not so much.
You did a daylight matinee over there.
Yeah, that I wish I could take back. I'm not even sure. Maybe my hitters made up for it. Yeah, not so much.
St. Louis Atlanta game still 0-0.
I believe so, yeah.
That was the part of
St.
the
Louis,
other.
Atlanta. St. Louis, Atlanta is, yeah, it pulled up here. We got 1-0 St. Louis, top of the sixth.
Wonder who scored.
So
anyway, Rich, how people get a hold of you, buddy?
Yeah, man, you can get me on Twitter, X, whatever they're calling it this week, at Go Big, Go Home Pod, or hit me up on Facebook at Rich Richardson, and let's do some talking, man. Yeah.
I am at Sports Talking It, and everybody, thanks for tuning in. Rally, Chris, have a good birthday on Friday, and
yeah, happy birthday, man.
Everyone else, have a good evening, have a good day. We're daytime here; we're not evening this time. Throwing me all off.
It's a day game.